But it's hard to let go of what you've been holding on to for so long, even if it's not working anymore. It's really hard to let go. It's like, beg you, see it differently. I beg you to let go. It's not normal. It's just old.
It's time to drop it and move forward. You may be a product of your past, but you don't have to be a prisoner of your past.
Everything that's inflexible and everything that's not ready, and everything that's backwards and everything that's negative and everything that's carnal and everything that's holding me back, I refuse to take it over into another year and waste another new year with an old mind. The devil is a lie.
Just because you're used to it doesn't make it normal.
Some of you are taking too much time trying to convince people to love you that do not matter, tolerating and trying to get people engaged that don't matter, that don't care, that are never ever going to help you get into your destiny.
I came to preach to somebody who everybody else might have given up on you, and life might not be where you want it to be, and you might not have been what you could have been, but it's not too late to become who you are.
See, many things we don't do because of the fact we want people to like us. There's some necessary losses in life. When you decide acting in your best interest, you're going to lose some friends. Everybody's not going to approve of you. There's some people that won't like you. Who do you think you are? You're arrogant. What do you think you can do? You're selfish. Thanks, I got that.
Poor thinking habits keeps most people poor, not poor working habits. Most people work hard, but they don't think hard. The mind is like a factory, a mental factory, and whatever you think about all day long pours ingredients into this mental factory, and that's what builds the economic, social, financial fabric of your life. As you think, so you become.
Program your mind, because all that you will do or not do, have or not have, accomplish or not accomplish, will be a direct derivative of what's going on inside of your mind. So if you don't get clear thinking on an issue, you won't be able to develop in that area. Look at somebody say it's time for a change. Well, what stops us? What stops us from making the changes that we need in our behavior, in our situation? It's the mind.
If you keep doing what you've been doing, you're gonna keep getting what you've been getting. So if you're at a place in your life and you ain't happy with it, you have to change some things. But you have to make a conscientious decision that you're going to change. And it's not dependent on anybody else. It don't matter what your mama think. It don't matter what your coworkers think. It don't matter what your siblings think. It don't matter. This decision is yours and yours alone.
People want to know how to stop the laziness, and they want to know how to stop the procrastination. They have some idea in their head, some kind of a vision of what they want to do, but they don't know where to start. They don't know where to start it, They don't know where to start. And so they say, hey, where do I start? And when's the best time to start? And I have a very simple answer for that. Here and now.
God may be giving you more to work with than what you are working with at this time. You may have far more things that you can potentially do than what you're doing right now. That's why I don't like to hang with low-thinking people, because they'll make you underutilize what God has given you. You need somebody to challenge you that you could be doing more than what you're doing right now. You could have more than you have right now, and somebody's got to be bold enough to look you in the face and empower you to go into the enemy's camp and take back what he stole from you.
For every time you have a plan, a dream, an aspiration, or a goal, Do you know what happens every time you have one of those? This thing comes along called life. Life is hard. It happens to everybody. Life has disappointment. It's got peaks and valleys. You're going to lose somebody you care about one day. That's a valley. Somebody going to close the plant you thought was going to stay open so you could retire. That's a valley. Somebody going to fire you for an unjust cause. That's a valley. Because it's life. You can stop thinking that life fitting be easy, because I got news for you, it ain't.
And those problems you think you've got right now, when do problems really become problems? My problem becomes a real problem when I lose my perspective. My problem becomes a real problem when I give up and I just say, forget it. Your problem becomes a real problem when you start feeling sorry for yourself and have a pity party. Your problem becomes a real problem when you get bitter and you start blaming everybody else for your unhappiness. That's the real problem.
Guys and gals, don't give up. Man, if you get to the point where you're kind of weary and you're going, I'm facing struggles at every turn, don't give up.
You just need some faith, man. Faith don't make it easy. Faith makes it possible.
We find ourselves announcing our standards to our relatives, our friends, our associates. We shout our beliefs and condemn those who believe any differently, but then we don't walk the talk. We end up acting in a way far different from the beliefs we've shouted. This is inconsistent. This leads to a loss of credibility among those who watch us. And more importantly, this leads to a loss of credibility within ourselves. The only thing worse than one who is inconsistent in applying their self-imposed disciplines is one who has never considered the need or the value of discipline at all.
So what kind of courage do you have? Is yours sort of floating between depending on the situation, or do you know the difference between right and wrong for your life? And you've made up your mind. Our mind is the control tower of our life. All of our decisions are there. And the truth is, whatever we are today is the result of what we've been thinking about all those years. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So if you don't like what's going on around you, maybe you should ask yourself the question, what am I thinking about? What do I think about myself? What do I think about other people?
I want you to ponder these 4 questions. Here's the first one, and that's why. Why pay the price? Why work this hard? Why go this far? Why try to learn this much? Why try to do it all? Why try to see it all? Why try to have it all? Why study? Why put yourself out? Why try to take on this much responsibility? Why develop yourself to the full? Why try to become all that you can possibly become? Why try to earn as much as you can earn, share as much as you can share, develop every skill you possibly can, see every human you possibly can, go to every class you possibly can, touch everybody you possibly can? Why do that much? Why go that far? Why share that much? Why give that much away? Why try to see everything? Why try to do everything? Why try to become everything? That's a good question, why? And you're the only one personally that can answer that question for yourself. You've got to have your own list of whys. Work on your list of whys. One of the big thrusts for success is to come up with a strong enough why. In leadership training, here's what we learn. If the why is powerful, the how is easy. But if the why isn't strong, if your goals aren't powerful, if the vision isn't clear, the old prophet said, without a vision we die, without a vision we perish, without a dream we're nothing. From the movie The Professionals, it said, we joined because we believed. We stayed because we were committed. We left because we were disillusioned, but we came back because we were lost. Without a dream, We are nothing. I'm asking you to sit down with your family and develop a dream strategy. I'm asking you to make a list of what you want. What kind of health do you want? What kind of skills do you want? What kind of income do you want? What kind of gifts do you wish to bestow? What kind of power would you like to have? What kind of influence would you like to have? I'm asking you to go home and work on the why. I'm asking you to have a vision. Now, here's number 2. Here's another good answer to why. It's the second question. Why not? Why not see how much you can earn? Why not see how much you can learn? Why not see how many skills you can develop? Why not see what kind of person you can become? Why not see what kind of influence you can have? Why not see how many people you can rescue from oblivion? I want you to establish some of your goals. I want you to give thoughtful consideration to your goals. And why not? If a farm boy can wander out of Idaho and finally arrive at this extravaganza, why not you? If we've got good health for many, why not the rest? If it's happened for you, why not others? And why not you? I want you to take that personal. Why not? Why not? You've got to stay here till you go. I mean, what else are you going to do? Why not see how much you can do, how far you can go? Now, here's number 3. Why not you? I wish I could say that to each of you individually, but it would take a couple of lifetimes to sit down and talk with each of you individually. But I would rather do that. I'd rather sit down and talk with you and your family with the fire burning in the living room than to be standing on this platform. That's my true desire. I'd love to talk to you and your children face to face. That's what I'd really like to do. I'd love to spend a couple of days with each of you personally and pour out my heart, my soul, what's going on in my head, what's going on with me, see if we couldn't connect and find something valuable. But time doesn't permit for us to have those intimate conversations and get to know each other that well. So I've got to do it from up here. But I want you to take it personal. And my personal question to you is, why not you? You've got the brains. You can make decisions. You can study the plan. You can change your life. You can grow immensely in the next few years. You can make your dreams come true. You can build a financial wall around your family nothing can get through. You can become healthy. You can become powerful. Why not you? And I'm here to say that I'm ready to pledge my support to make your personal dreams come true. I asked the question, why not you? But I'm not going to ask it and just walk away. I'm going to ask it and walk with you. And now here's my last question. My very last question on the questions to ponder is, why not now? There never was a better time. And what a time now for us to take this dream and not let it die. Take this dream and give it life. Take this dream and breathe into it your own personal spirit until finally it becomes a flame that burns around the whole world. Let's go do it now.
What we think about is really what controls us. This is a control tower, that everything else is a result of how we think. And we can't control everybody else in control of all of our circumstances, but we are going to respond to circumstances in one way or the other. And so what you have to ask is this: what is it that determines what I think? This mind of yours controls everything else in your life.
Are you satisfied with your life as it is? Are you? Is your life giving you what you want? If you had your life to live over again, could you have done more than what you've done thus far? When I ask audiences that, most people agree, yes, I could have done more. I know I could have done more. I've wasted a lot of valuable time. You're going to lose something, lose money. You can recapture that. Don't lose time. You can't get that back.
But I think being grateful probably is number one. If you've got a job, you got to be grateful. See, this isn't the greatest job in the world. Even if it's a transitional job getting you where you want to go, you got to be grateful. You don't have to love your job or be passionate about your job. Just passionate about staying steady, working hard, learning skills, doing this job so well that the next one will be even better, and taking such good care of this opportunity, another one will present itself.
What's next for me? After all of this, I don't think that things just happen. I believe that they happen just. We have a mindset. We don't want to be the same coming out of this. That you want some radical change, that this could be a major defining moment for you, a day that turns your life around.
If you have an extreme desire to wish to be successful, so you can accomplish all you wish to accomplish, be as generous as you'd like to be as strong as you'd like to be. And I think if you say you have to find your passion, people find that a little bit confusing. Where would I find it, and what could I be passionate about? I guess you could start with saying, I'm passionate about providing unusual success for myself and for my family. Then I think the key is to let what you want to accomplish, let that grow. Where at first this is as far as you can see, but if you'll do that, you can say, wow, maybe I could multiply by 2, by 3, and expand my vision, accomplish a lot more. It's not what happens that determines the major part of your future. It's not what happens. What happens happens to us all. The key is what you do about it. It's not what happens, it's what you do about it. And he said, if you will start that process of change, do something different the next 90 days than you did the last 90 days, like picking up the books to read. Do something different, like the new health disciplines, relationship with your family, whatever it is, doesn't matter how small it is. If you'll start doing different things with the same circumstances, since we cannot change the circumstances, but we can change ourselves. We can change what we do. Then he gave me another secret to success when he said, what you have at the moment, Mr. Rohn, you've attracted by the person you've become. What you have at the moment, you've attracted by the person you've become. Few little simple principles here. Once you understand these, it starts to explain so much. Now, sometimes it's a little tough to take, blaming yourself instead of the marketplace, taking responsibility instead of putting it off on someone else. That transition sometimes is a challenging mission. And this one was a little tough for me. He said, Mr. Rohn, you've got pennies in your pocket, you've got nothing in the bank, the creditors are calling, you're behind on your promises. And he says, here's how that occurs. You've attracted, up until now, you've attracted the things to you because of the person you've become. Now I said, well, how can I change all that? He said, very simple. If you will change, everything will change for you. You don't have to change what's outside. All you've got to change is what's inside. To have more, you simply have to become more. And then he said, don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems. Wish for more skills. Start working on yourself, making these personal changes. And he said, it'll all change for you. I got a telephone call 5 years ago. The company said, we're ready to expand internationally. We need some help. I was sort of semi-retired, looking for the next exotic beach. They said, no, Mr. Rohn, we got a project for you. We're going to expand internationally. We could use your help. Next little while, we'll add some millions to your fortune, make it worth your while. I said, okay. I thought later, isn't that interesting that they called me? My second thought was, of course they'd call me. Who else would they call? I mean, I could get the job done. Now, how come I got a telephone call worth millions? I had become valuable. Now, I'm a farm boy from Idaho. I was raised in obscurity. 1 year of college, and I thought I was thoroughly educated. Made all kinds of mistakes galore. At age 25, the creditors are calling me saying, hey, you told us the check was in the mail. I got pennies in my pocket. I got nothing in the bank. I'm behind on my promises. How come I get a telephone call 5 years ago and it's worth millions? I changed. I turned my life around. Is it possible to become worth millions? Speaking economically, now there's a lot of values to become, but let's just talk economics. Is it possible to become that valuable? And the answer is, of course. Now let me give you the secret. Shoaff said, here's the secret, Mr. Rohn. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Once I got that, it turned my life around. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. He said, if you work hard on your job, you'll make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune. If you would have known me at age 25, you would have said, Jim Rohn's a hard worker. If you'd have known me, you'd have said that. I'm the guy, I don't mind coming a little bit early, staying a little bit late. I don't mind that. You'd have said, well, Jim Rohn's a hard worker. You say, well, how come he's got pennies in his pocket and nothing in the bank and behind on his promises? Well, I was a hard worker, but I was working hard on my job, not on myself. I'm telling you, if you'll learn that simple little principle and start the process today, latest tomorrow, give you tonight to think it over, and start this whole process of personal development, work on yourself, make yourself more valuable to the marketplace, I'm telling you, you can so dynamically change your income. And economics is the least of the values that you can start earning in terms of equity if you'll start working harder on yourself than you do on your job. Work hard on yourself and develop the graces. I'm telling you, your whole life can explode into change. Promotions, no problem. Becoming more valuable to the company, I'm telling you, no problem. Money, no problem. Economics, no problem. Future, no problem. If you just go to work on the right thing. Not get things out there to change. Don't try to change the seed. Don't change the soil. Don't change the sunshine. Don't change the rain. Don't change the mix of seasons. Let the miracle of everything that's available work for you and start working on the inside. Work on your philosophy. Work on your attitude. Work on your personality. Work on your language. Work on the gift of communication. Work on all of your abilities. And if you'll start making those personal changes, I'm telling you, everything will change for you.
Need a little pick-me-up today? Welcome to the new Fresh Motivation app, where you'll find daily motivation, daily quotes. Listen to your favorite speeches in the background or with a black screen, so nothing interrupts your motivational moment, where you can create your personal profile, create playlists of your favorite speeches and quotes, add personal notes, and start setting goals. Fresh Motivation, the home of motivation. Get it now for free on Google Play.
Just check the circle of your friends. The people around you, the more time you spend with them, I don't care who you are, you're going to become like them. We're not talking about acquaintances. We're not talking about friends at work. We're talking about our circle of friends. The friends in your life are shaping the future of your life.
Do you have those people in life that appeal to the worst in you and not the best in you? And whenever they connect with you, they bring you down to where you were before?
Who do you allow to be in your ear? What kind of relationships are you developing? Are they an asset to you or they are a liability? Do they elevate your spirits or do they tear you down? We get two types of people, nourishing people and toxic people. Nourishing people, they bring the best out of you. They encourage you, they inspire you, they hold you accountable. Toxic people, they are critical people, always telling you what you can't do. They're always measuring your possibilities based upon their failures. They don't know what's possible for you. My mother said, never let anybody tell you what you can't do, son, especially if they haven't done it. So as you begin to look at yourself, begin to identify the relationships that you communicate with most and say, hey, is this relationship helpful to me?
Loyalty has an expiration date. The problem is, it's when you're the nice person, your loyalty lasts far longer to certain people than it should, because their loyalty to you has been expired. But you being the good person, you hang on to friendships and become forgiving far longer than you really should be. Loyalty has an expiration date.
Something in front of you, strong enough to give you the courage to let go of the system behind you. I know you're gonna get scared and run back every now and then. We already admitted that, but I want you to understand that what God thought about you is truer than what you thought about you.
Everything you're going through is preparing you for what you asked God for. You just got to quit tripping while you're in the process. Because the process is necessary. You may not see it now, but when he gets you on the other side of it, you're going to see exactly why it went that way. And you're going to be okay with it.
I must be inclined that it's somebody who's holding back on a decision, holding back on moving forward, and you're holding back because of fear. Fear of being rejected, being replaced, fear of people that you want to accept you won't accept you. When fear controls you, your decisions become illogical. And it's a problem because God is not the author or the generator of fear.
You need to learn to think, because thinking makes you act effectively in the world. Thinking makes you win the battles you undertake, and those could be battles for good things. If you can think and speak and write, you are absolutely deadly. Nothing can get in your way.
Trying to handle heartbreak, it's so important that we understand there has to be output to our life. Listen to me, if you're broken, don't take a break. Don't let the person who didn't love you stop you from meeting the person who will love you. See, what the enemy wants to do is the enemy wants to isolate you. And the enemy wants you to find some valley, and he wants you to camp out in that valley and say, nobody understands me, and nobody knows how bad my heart is broken, and nobody gets me, and because nobody gets me, I'm gonna go and do this thing all on my own. But I have come to remind you that that is a lie from the pit of hell. That is simply a reaction. And if you're ever gonna rebuild, it's gonna require to share with one another and walk through it together.
I'm going to make it. It's possible. Your dream is possible. Say that to yourself every day. Feed your mind with words that you write and words that you speak to yourself. Feed your faith, and your doubts will starve to death. It's possible. It's possible. Even when you have no evidence to point to, say to yourself, it's possible. There's nothing as powerful as a made-up mind. It's a struggle sometimes to do that, especially when you have people around you telling you that it's not possible. And they're constantly pointing out your failures of the past, constantly reminding you of all of the things that you don't have going for you.
Trust is reliance, or to rely on God's integrity, to lean and to rely on God's ability. It is a confident expectation of something. Who or what are you leaning on in the midst of hard times, in the midst of lack, in the midst of hurt? Who do you lean on the most?
I cannot tell you to let go of a system and not have something to hold on to. After all, this is all you ever had. This is what I'm familiar with. Even if I'm familiar with something that's killing me and hindering me and dwarfing me and retarding my growth, it's my normal. Even though it's not normal, it's my normal. It's my normal.
There's a battle of two systems here. It's the system of God and it's the system of this world. And you're going to have to choose. And I have chosen the system of God over the system of the world. Anything that's working in the world, it came from God.
I got my new system on Monday and Tuesday. And Tuesday night, I relapsed and I got my old system. And Wednesday morning, I said, no, we're not going together no more. And I put it down and I go back and I get my new system. And then some scholar scares me and I go back and I get my old system until finally I develop the ability to trust my new.
Life seemingly does not wish to waste success on the unprepared. Life says, why waste a fortune on this person? They're not prepared to do the right things with it. They're not prepared to use it wisely. So not only look for fortune, not only look for the promise, but prepare yourself and ask of yourself, what can I do to make myself ready?
trying to handle heartbreak, it's so important that we understand there has to be output to our life. Don't let the person who didn't love you stop you from meeting the person who will love you. See, what the enemy wants to do is the enemy wants to isolate you. And the enemy wants you to find some valley, and he wants you to camp out in that valley and say, nobody understands me and nobody gets me, and because nobody gets me, I'm gonna go and do this thing all on my own. But I have come to remind you that that is a lie from the pit of hell. That is simply a reaction. And if you're ever gonna rebuild, it's gonna require to share with one another and walk through it together.
Life was designed not to give us what we want, not to give us what we need, but life was designed to give us what we deserve. It says those that give, receive. Someone says, I wish to receive, I wish to receive. You don't have to concentrate on receive. Just become a good giver. It says those that search will find. Someone says, well, I need to find some good ideas to help change my life for the future. Then to find good ideas, that doesn't come because you need them, it comes because you search for it.
How many marriages have ended because of social media? Your grandparents that's been married for 30, 40, 50 years did not have social media to contribute to the dysfunction of their marriage. We are growing up in a technology age where communicating and social networking has went to a whole nother stratosphere. So technically it's became even more challenging to be in a functioning, healthy marriage or relationship.
And I want to walk you down the road until what he thinks about you begins to hit the ground and you become seed to the sower. And people are glad to see you coming because God is going to make bread out of your life. You've been crushed, you've been pressed, you've been pulverized, but God said, I'm going to make you nourishment. I'm going to make you strength to somebody.
If he was through with you, you would not wake up in the morning. He gonna fix it. But now, God can't give you what you want because you want to hold on to what you got. You all in the way. It's a simple process. The only reason I'm telling you this, because this is how I made it. I just do me. I stay uniquely who I am. Because God made you uniquely who you are. He wanted you to be just like you are.
How easy is it to get up in the morning when you know you're not doing all that it takes? It's not very easy at all. You can just lay there awake thinking, oh, what's a few more minutes in bed? It won't matter much anyway. Wrong. It does matter. It will matter. Now, how easy is it to get up in the morning when you're pouring it on, doing the best you can, anxious to get going, make progress toward your dreams? It's a whole different story. When you're resting to renew your reserves, it's much different than resting to avoid your day. When you're psyched up and excited for your life, when you're excited for what you've planned to accomplish for the day, it's amazing. You'll wake up before the alarm clock even tries to startle you awake. Your successes fuel your ambition. Your successes give you extra energy. Your successes pave the way for more successes. It's the snowball effect. With one success, you're excited to meet another, and another, and another. And pretty soon, the disciplines that were so difficult in the beginning, the disciplines that got you going, are now part of your philosophy. How do you know when you're successful? Do you have to be a millionaire? No. All we ask of you is that you earn all you possibly can. If you earn $10,000 a year and that's the best you can do, that's enough. God and everything else will see to it that you're okay. The key is to just do the best you can. If it's $10,000 a year, wonderful. If it's $100,000 a year, wonderful. If it's $1 million a year, wonderful. It doesn't matter $10,000 a year or $1 million a year. It doesn't matter as long as you've done the best you possibly can. Earn the most you possibly can. Be the most you possibly can. And here's why. The essence of life is growth. The essence of life is growth, to do the best you can. And here's what's interesting. Humans are the only life form that will do less than they possibly can. Humans are the only life form that will settle for less. Every other life form except human beings strive to its maximum capacity. How tall will a tree grow? Approximately. As tall as it possibly can. You never heard of a tree growing half as high as it could. No, trees don't grow half. Trees send their roots down as deep as possible, stretch their limbs up as high as possible, produce every leaf possible and every fruit possible. As a matter of fact, you never heard of a human physically growing half. We keep growing until we're done. Now that's a part of life we can't control.
Find out who you're associating with. If those people add something to you, if they give you something in return, or is it all just a give and take, meaning like they just take and then you give? That's a bad relationship, man. Get the negative energy out of life. These people that you're around, they're always complaining and everything else. They're taking part of your soul. You only have so much to give every single day. Why waste it on that, guys? You gotta love yourself in order to love somebody else, guys. You gotta be whole and happy with who you are if you never help somebody else out. People say, oh, it's selfish to just care about yourself. Well, if you need some fixing and reworking, it's not selfish, because you can get yourself better and then be able to really lend a hand in an honest way to somebody to really help them out.
I want you to ask yourself, do I love myself enough to give myself permission to go after what I want? Like, do I love myself enough to exercise this weekend? Do I love myself enough to study that extra hour? Because when you can start saying yes to loving yourself, you start to realize just how far you're able to go. And I wish people knew that the ability to succeed, it's all inside of you. It's never been hidden. It's just, do you love yourself enough to let it out? The best version of yourself is so beautiful and so amazing. And yes, people may not accept you all the time and they may hurt you, but I don't want you to keep that in, because you were meant to be a certain type of person, and there's somebody out there in this world who needs to see you for who you are.
The growing of our minds, the expansion of our minds, that we can control. And that's what tends to get away from us. All life forms inherently strive to their max except human beings. Now, why wouldn't human beings strive to their maximum possibility? Here's why. Because we've been given the dignity of choice. It makes us different than alligators and trees and birds. The dignity of choice makes us different than all other life forms. And here's the choice: to become part of what we could be, enough to get by, or to become all that we can be. My best advice for you is to choose the all. Earn all you can, make all the friends you can, read as many books as you can, develop as many skills as you can, see as much as possible, do as much as possible, make as much fortune as possible, give as much of it away as possible. The max. There's no life like it. I'm telling you, once I got on track, I've never looked back. Pick up the challenge. Go for it. Take the best of the two easies. Take the route of it's easy to get ahead. It's easy to do all you can. It's easy to succeed. It's easy to have financial freedom. The more you do, the more you get. So the two primary benefits of positive reinforcement are, number one, to build good habits, and number two, to create more energy to fuel your ambitions, your desires, your achievements. How can you isolate what's working for you and what isn't? How can you make sure that you are reinforcing your positive disciplines? Well, if it isn't apparent, easy to see right away, If what you're doing is happening in such small increments that you're not sure if you're on track, then you need to be writing it down. You need to keep a journal anyway. But if you really aren't sure that what you're doing is making measurable progress, you need to keep a written record. You need to write down everything that may be relevant in your day. What you did, who you saw, what you felt, how it may or may not affect you now and in the future. The best way to track your activities of the day is to write them down. The best way to track your activities of the week is to write them down. The best way to analyze your progress through the year is to have written it down. Why? So you can look back on it. Because by keeping a written record of your life, you will be more accountable. By putting into writing the action steps that you have planned, you will easily see what works and what doesn't. Most people just try to get through the day, never writing anything down, never keeping track of their progress along the way, never really knowing if they are doing all they can to reach their goals, to drive their ambition. But gifted people learn to get from the day. They don't let a day end without picking up some valuable experience, some emotional content, some idea that may positively affect their future. To get the most from a day, to learn the most from a day, you need to be able to reflect on the day. And how can you reflect on a day unless you record it in history?
When a caterpillar transforms into a butterfly, gets its wings, it doesn't just have the ability to crawl faster. It comes into a whole new dimension, from crawling to flying. When you get your wings, you're not going to just be better at what you can do right now. God is going to catapult you into a new dimension. Things are going to happen sooner than you thought. You're going to discover gifts, talents, creativity that you didn't know you had. Where you think, where did this come from? You got your wings. That's God taking you places that you could never go on your own. There's going to be a preparation period between the time God puts the dream in your heart and the time that it comes to pass. It's up to us to pass these tests, to be willing to go through the pregnancy, the uncomfortable season when we don't understand it. We're doing the right thing, but we're not making progress. This is when many people give up on their dreams. They were anointed, but because they wouldn't go through the preparation process, they never gave birth. They never saw the appointing come.
To every person in this room who's had a struggle, who's had some tests, who's got some creative ideas, but you've gone through some really tough stuff. The stuff you've been through, don't pay it any attention. It is just a sign that the baby is coming. You're on the verge of birthing. You're about to give birth. The baby is coming. The baby is coming. The baby is coming. You don't want to leave me now. The baby is coming.
When you're pregnant, the baby is developing on the inside where nobody can see. In those tough times where you're uncomfortable, you're doing the right thing, but the wrong thing is happening, something is developing in you that you can't see. It's getting you prepared. And this is the reason many people never give birth to what's in them. They don't understand the process. God will put a dream in your heart. He'll give you the anointing, then he'll send you back to the shepherd's fields. The appointing will come later.
Anybody who left you is going to miss it. They're going to miss the greatest part of you, the greatest part of your destiny, the greatest part of your creativity. It took everything you went through yesterday to get you ready for what you are about to do today. You are standing on the verge of a great awakening, or you wouldn't be here. If I'm talking to you, make some noise in this place.
You have to think. You can't just feel. You have to think. You know, even when you're taking care of kids, part of what you're doing is being compassionate. But if you're too compassionate towards your kids, then you do everything for them. And if you do everything for them, then they grow up useless and they never leave and they hate you and they hate everything else too. It's a bad idea. Treating your children like they're endless permanent victims is a very bad idea.